I travel a lot on international business, and people will ask me, why did you have to make that trip? Couldn't you have done the same meeting via video call or something? And I say, sure, sometimes we do that, but there's nothing like being face to face. I hope that one of the benefits of this COVID-19 isolation is that we begin to realize how much we cherish face-to-face presence. Electronic means is fine, but there's nothing like face-to-face. I hope during this time you're still connected to people, but maybe you're even now starting to yearn for human presence. I don't want you to be lonely, but it would be nice if you were wistful for human presence. I know of some people who didn't want to give up the human presence. There's a retirement center I'm familiar with where they went on lockdown appropriately because of COVID-19, and they told the residents in a meeting, we want you to stay in your rooms. Well, they weren't out of the meeting room very long when a few of them were already scheming how to sneak out and get together. Now, one thing that happens a lot is our electronic communication, and since that happened, it's redefined what it even means to be together. My wife and I were sitting in a restaurant, and there was a family of 5 nearby, and we're looking at them, and all 5 of them are on their phones and sitting there in silence. What's the point? What's the point of getting together then? But honestly, I think even before electronic communication became the norm, we weren't great at face-to-face. Why is that? What's lacking? How can we be together and still not be together? That's what I want to discuss this time on Be Present. During this period of isolation due to COVID-19, Reboot Camp is designed to replenish us and get us ready to go out in the world again with a new faithful attitude. I'm suggesting that by resetting our faith, we can also reset how we approach the world and make it a better place. Cecil Taylor Ministries is focused on teaching Christians how to live a practical 7-day faith. So in each devotional, I will state a faith problem and recommend a remedy and how to put it into practice. This is number 4 of the 12-part series. From my 30 years of working with youth in church settings, I can tell you there's a difference between being in the same room and interacting. And I'm not just talking about youth and youth, I'm talking about youth and adults. Even the adults could act absent. When I retired from youth ministry, I was gratified for so many youth and former youth to come to me and say how much I'd been an influence in their lives. But what had I really done to be an influence? I think I was just present. I was involved with them. I got to know their names. I was connecting them with other people with similar interests, asking questions about them, sharing my life, cutting up with them. All these kinds of things rolled together were part of being present. There was one young lady who said, the first night I came to youth group, I had no friends. But when I left, I had one friend, you. How can we be present with other people when we're together? That's the question. I want to start this takeaway with the words of an author I cherish, Henry Nouwen. He said, caring means, first of all, to be present with each other. One does not need to be useful as much as to be present. To be present is to listen and to identify with each other as mortal, fragile human beings who need to be heard and sustained by one another. Nouwen doesn't say to just be in the same room. He doesn't say merely to look somebody in the eye. He says you need to listen, to identify. In another passage, he says that we need to be vulnerable for each other. In being vulnerable, we can allow others to open up. I think what he's really talking about is active listening, the idea of hearing, processing, and then playing back to people what they just said. That makes a person feel valued when you listen like that. Speaking of listening, if you'd like to pursue this a little further, take one more minute and look at my playlist on my channel of 1-minute devotionals. There's a video called Peacemaking Through Listening that I think you'll find interesting. When this COVID-19 isolation is over, we'll be back together with family, friends, and others. But when we're back together, let's be truly present for each other. Being in the same room will be nice. Being useful for each other, that's terrific. But being present for each other, that could mean even more.